Hi, everybody. Today we have Sumathi Krishnan, who's a communication skill trainer. And she has been training for the past 17 years. She is very passionate about the art of communication. All right, she conducts programs on business communication, presentation skills, writing skills, and customer service. Today, she's also got 4 children, two with 2 legs and two with 4 legs. All right, we'll hear more about it later.
Thanks so much,
Sorry.
Fiesta. Thanks for the intro. Hi, how are you
Okay.
doing?
I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm good. I'm good. It's just like, we're just getting used to all this staying at home and, being with the kids and all.
I can see the kids at the back.
Yeah. Yeah. You just saw him, right?
Yes, yes. Hi,
Okay.
Sahil. Okay. I wrote something on this topic today in
Right.
LinkedIn, and my title was tips to listen, and sorry, tips to ask questions. This is the first time I'm on camera, so I'm doing all these mistakes.
Okay.
Tips to ask questions effectively.
Okay.
And I had shared 3 main tips, basically the techniques of asking questions. We
Okay.
can ask questions using close-ended questions, open-ended,
Okay.
and follow-up questions.
Okay.
Right? The first thing is close-ended question is where you require just one-word answers. For
Right.
example, if someone asks you, Vyasa, how are you today? What will you
Okay.
answer?
I'm good.
Yep.
Thank you.
And have you had your tea?
Yes.
So, and I mean, if some people might ask you, how old are you?
I am da da da.
Okay, fine. So, what
Okay.
you
Thanks for
essentially
answering.
did was give me one-word answer. So that is
Yes.
the close-ended questions.
Okay. Okay.
Whereas the open-ended would be where I want to find out a little bit more about something that you have, something that you do. For example, how do you like being at home with the kids all the time?
Okay. Yes. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it can, be a little bit of a drag.
Okay.
Yes, and here's my kid around.
Yes. Okay. So
Okay.
that
Yeah.
was an open-ended question
Yes.
where you were forced to give an answer that was longer than one word.
Correct. Correct.
So
Yep.
that was an open-ended question. And
Okay.
if I were to probe a little bit
Right.
further into that, I would say, like, why do you say it's fun sometimes and it's a little difficult sometimes? Why would
Right.
you do that?
Okay. Yes. Sometimes, when we are not so stressed up, when we are like, not having too many things to do, then we can, our mind is free and, we can focus, we can, just relax and chill back. But sometimes when there's a lot of things to do and there's also demands from our children,
Yeah.
it actually gets kind of strenuous,
Mm-hmm.
and we can get a little bit more, uh, short tempered,
Yeah.
a bit, it can get on the nerves sometimes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I did this time is I
Yeah.
asked you a question, a follow-up
Okay.
question based on your previous answer.
Okay.
So this is
Okay.
what we call a follow-up question.
Yep.
When you want to find out a little bit more in detail about someone's feelings, perceptions, emotions about something, then we ask a
Okay.
follow-up question.
All right.
Right. I would like to add another 2 tips today, which is the fourth one is when you are communicating with someone, it's very important to listen attentively,
Okay.
listen carefully, meaning you have to pay attention to the person's
Right.
responses so that you can ask something sensible and appropriate in return.
Okay. Okay.
For example, if you were not able to listen, or sometimes we are tired, we don't listen carefully to someone,
Yes. Yes.
we can't
Yes.
ask follow-up questions. We just say, ha ha, yeah,
Yes.
and you move on. But if
Okay.
you had listened carefully to what the person had said,
Yep.
then you can ask something to clarify what the person has said earlier. So,
Okay. Okay.
so we need to pay attention to the other person.
All right.
when they are talking, and this
Okay.
also shows you are interested in what the person has to say.
Okay.
It also shows respect as you're
Right.
listening to the person.
Okay.
It shows
Okay.
keen interest in the topic,
Right.
and I think this is a very good way of building rapport with someone.
That means what you're saying is like as you ask some things and then
Yeah.
the person B answers,
Yes.
and then you ask some further questions.
Yes.
First, it shows that you're paying attention, and the
Yes.
second thing is you're asking deeper questions,
Yes.
so the person feels very hurt.
Yes.
Okay.
Heard, and also we are listening. We have to sharpen our listening skills to listen to
Right.
the person.
Okay.
The challenge here is sometimes we are distracted when we are talking to someone, when we are having a conversation. You
Right.
might get distracted with some people passing by. You might get
Yeah.
distracted with the TV, right?
True. True.
A simple example is this: when I'm just taking this as an example. When a guy
Okay.
is watching TV and the wife is trying to have a conversation,
Yeah.
guy is watching TV, especially a football match. All right.
Uh-huh.
And the
Mm-hmm.
wife comes and asks a question, and she says something like, "Bang, you know
Okay.
what happened in the office today?" And the man is like, and his eyes, are on the TV, but he has
Yeah.
to listen to the wife. So, he's not paying full attention to the
Right.
person speaking.
Right.
So that is the challenge. When someone is talking, you are not listening 100% to what the person is saying.
Okay.
The work situation, we need to manage the distraction so that we are paying attention to this person. And as I
Right.
said earlier, imagine your boss talking to you, so you need to pay attention to the person, and concentrate on what he's saying,
Yeah.
and give an appropriate answer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. That was tip number 4: pay attention and listen attentively.
Okay.
And also, when we talk about listening attentively,
Yes.
another is, as I mentioned also in my previous post, some of
Okay.
us have a tendency to say something even before we have heard the other person. While the
Okay.
person is talking, we
Mm-hmm.
have already started forming a response in our head,
Okay.
right? So what we need to do, I mean, to me, what I do is, I try not to think at that time when the person is saying something. I just want to listen to what he has to say.
Okay.
And I read somewhere that we have to keep our mouth closed so
Okay.
that you are not preparing yourself to respond to the
For the
person
next.
immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Have you ever had this experience where someone told you that
Yep.
while the person is talking to you and said, "Are you listening to me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are you paying attention? Are you listening to me?"
Yes, I get that from my son sometimes.
Yes. He said that to you, right?
Yeah.
So that he senses that you are not giving your full concentration,
Well,
you're not
yeah.
giving your full attention to the person, to
True.
him.
True. True.
He can sense that, even though he's 8, he can sense
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that is why in the office, it's
Yeah.
not cool for a boss to say this. I know a lot of my participants tell me this. The
Mm-hmm.
boss is busy working on his laptop, and
Yeah.
then the staff comes in and says, "Boss, can I have a few minutes with you?" And the
Yeah.
boss says, "Yeah, yeah, please talk. I'm listening." But he's
Yeah.
busy typing something on his keyboard, right?
Right.
Do you think that the staff feels that this boss has got time for him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels as if like the boss is there's no time for me as a staff,
Yeah. Yeah.
and other things are more important than me at this moment lah.
Yes. So,
Mm.
what would be an ideal situation when a staff comes in and says, "Boss, can I have a few minutes with you?"
Uh, s- Stop. Say, just give me a minute. Let me
Yes.
just finish up this thing that I'm typing up now.
Yeah.
Then just close up the laptop if possible,
Yeah.
and then keep it aside. Yeah, please have a seat. Let me hear you.
Yes. So that brings me to my fifth tip,
Okay.
to listen effectively, which is, look at the body language of the person.
Right.
All right. If you are having a face to face communication with someone, it's
Mm-hmm.
important that you are focused on the person. If
Right.
you are standing, normally we say our body is facing that person.
Yeah.
If you're sitting, it's the same thing. You are facing the person, you're looking at the person, you're looking at
Right.
his eyes, you're trying to read the body, the body language, the facial expressions,
Yeah.
right? When someone says, the boss asks, how are you doing, Vyasa? Is everything okay? You say, yeah, but you are saying yes,
Yeah.
but the body language is not congruent to that.
Something else. Saying something
Something
else.
else. You are okay, but there is something that is bothering you.
Right.
Yeah, so that is why we need to pay attention to the body language as well, especially the facial expressions,
Mm-hmm.
especially the eyes. They always say the
Right.
eyes are the mirror to the soul.
Yeah.
Uh, so the eyes shows excitement, the eyes shows fear, lack of confidence, in
Yeah.
fact, confidence, nervousness, everything is shown by the eyes.
Yeah.
So when someone is communicating with you face to face, observe the person, look at the body language, look at the
Right.
facial expression,
Right.
uh, try to understand. Like I've read this, and I've also noticed this. When we tend to speak a lot and someone
Right.
is bored, what
Right.
they do is they end up doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
It means that the ears are starting to hurt. They have heard enough from you, and it's
Right.
time to time out.
Shorten in.
Time for a timeout. Yes. So
Okay.
that is an indicator that the person has heard enough from you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And another thing is like when you are talking after about 5 minutes and their eyes start roving, start looking elsewhere, that means
Yeah.
they've seen enough.
Right.
All right, or sometimes they take off their glasses and they do this, right? That means it's tiring for them,
Right. Yeah.
right? So it's time to either summarize and end the conversation, or take a break depending on the situation. So
Right.
that's what we do. Yeah, so that is why it's important to look at the person's body language when we communicate with someone. We got to
Right.
listen carefully. And
Mm.
you might ask me, what about in a telephone conversation?
Right.
The same rule applies, but here we are going to listen to the tone of voice,
Right.
right? I always say this, when you're talking to someone,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you don't see the person at all.
Right.
You hear what the person has to say. So
Yeah.
make sure your intonation is
Mm-hmm.
vibrant,
Mm-hmm.
is full of enthusiasm, so that the
Right.
other feels comfortable, feels happy talking to you.
Right.
A very simple example is when someone calls you, your
Mm-hmm.
company,
Mm-hmm.
and says, in my company, I will say, "Good morning, Stepper Training. How may I help you?"
Right.
So
Yeah.
that sounds cheerful. I really want to help you.
Yeah.
In another instance, if someone says, the phone rings and I answer, "Hi, good morning, Stepper Training. Can I help you?" Is there
Mm.
a difference in the intonation?
Yeah.
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 In some
One is a
companies,
cheery one, and the other
sorry.
one is like, I'm just doing my job.
Yes, there is a script and I'm just reading the script.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in some companies, they just like, hello, right?
Yes.
So that also shows the attitude of the people there.
Right.
So we got to listen to the intonation, the tone of voice when we
Right.
are speaking to someone. If they are really interested in what you're saying, they might say like, "Wow, is it really? Oh, what
Mm.
about this?" Right? And then you can hear from the voice. Even
Mm.
though they're not sitting in front of you, you can hear from the voice. "Oh,
Yeah.
really? Tell me more about this. Oh, that sounds exciting." If someone,
Mm.
yeah, sorry, what was that again? That means you have lost them somewhere,
Right.
right? So, body language is very important, and that is my fifth tip for listening effectively.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So, like, how do we, like, let's say a question from one of our, let me just have a look at some of the questions here first.
Okay.
Just give me a second. Okay. Yeah. Okay. From Angeline.
Mm-hmm.
Angeline Joseph. All right. How do you communicate with a person who is in a bad mood? Very nice question.
Mm.
At times at work, we would need to have a discussion with our boss or colleague. How do we handle that? Wow, tough
Okay.
one. Okay,
Um, Not only the boss, I think sometimes even our co-workers could be in a grumpy mood, is
right.
not in a good mood that day.
Okay,
How
okay,
do we know that in the first place?
right.
How do we know that the person is
Have a look
grumpy?
at some of the questions here first. Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes I think you can just sense from the body language,
Yes,
uh,
exactly.
and also sometimes the what do you call the answers they give.
Yeah.
Whether it's short, curt,
Yes.
things like that, and
Yeah.
you can already sense they are not in a good mood.
Mm.
Okay.
So what we can do is when you see your boss is not in a very good mood or your coworker is not in a good mood,
Uh huh.
you might probably ask later. Later means
Right.
maybe in the afternoon, maybe in the evening, right? If
Right.
you can send a WhatsApp message and say, "Boss, I have something important to speak to you,
Right.
to discuss with you. Can you advise me what is a good time to talk to you about this?"
That means you are saying that ask try to get a different time to talk when you
Yes.
can sense that person is not having a good mood.
Yes.
It's
Yeah, he could have
it,
just had a an argument with his wife or a
yeah.
supplier, and he's here and he's not in his usual self.
Okay.
So
Okay.
maybe if you have a discussion with him, he might say something which is irrational or unacceptable. So
Okay.
you may want to give him some time to cool down, calm down, and then discuss with him.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. I mean, it means you just got to check the demeanor of the person first,
Yeah,
and probably postpone the talk so that you can get a better result later.
yeah, yeah. Just a
Okay.
suggestion, just one suggestion.
Okay.
Um, Let me see if there are any other suggestions. Yeah, I think because we need to tell the person we have something to discuss with
Talk.
him,
Okay.
and then we have to find what is the right time to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we can sense that he is not in his usual self. He's upset.
Okay.
He's angry. So we may want to postpone having the discussion to a later time.
Right. Right. Okay. Got there are a few more questions coming up. Just
Yeah.
hold on a second. And okay. Just want to. So Siva Kumar Sundaraj says hi to you.
Hello. Hi, Shivakumar.
Okay. And also Anand has a question. Okay. The question is, when people are in a bad mood, how to shift the energy? Wow.
How to shift the energy? Uh, can I just clarify what does that mean? How to shift the energy?
Okay. Possibly, like I think when the person is in a not good energy, right? How to get that person into a slightly better mood? I know this is not a normal communication thing,
Mm.
but could you share some ideas on what can be done? I mean, you are not a miracle worker, but
Yes.
see what are some of the ideas you can give.
Can you repeat the question, Vyasa?
Okay, the question is when people are in a bad mood, how to shift the energy? I suppose the question is how to shift the energy of the conversation. Maybe you probably need to say something anyway. How
Mm.
to, uh, how to get the communication through anyway.
Mm. In the first place, if
Mhm.
I have to communicate with the person and
Yeah,
he's not, as I said, like in the right frame, and
yeah,
yeah, I think I wouldn't want to discuss at that time. I would leave the
okay,
person alone. I mean, I wouldn't
okay,
want to discuss anything with anyone when I'm in a when I'm mad about something,
right,
right?
right,
Um, I'm not very sure how to answer the shifting the energy part. But what
right,
I think is a sensible person would do is just leave the person alone for a while, let him
yeah,
come down, because we can only control ourselves, we can control our energy, but I don't
right,
know how to control the other person.
okay,
But I think a wise thing to do would be just to leave him to cool
okay,
down, and again, when we see that he is calmer, he's to his back to his
Mm.
normal self, then we
Mhm.
will try to have the conversation with the person. Yeah.
Right. So the best option is try to move it to a later time or something lah
Yes.
when the things are better, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Some people do this also. Some of them, some people said, you can just if you can crack a joke or something like that, see whether it makes sense. Even
Yeah.
that depends, I
It's
suppose.
dangerous.
Is a bit dangerous.
Yes, yes, yes. In
Okay.
fact, you say like, "Hi, good morning, sir." You say, "What's so good about this morning?" All
Yeah,
right.
I know. I heard that one before.
Just ask it, right? So you never know. You just say good morning, and if he's angry, he gives you a stern look. You
Okay.
go back. Go to your workplace and not disturb him until he's back to his normal self.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
How about any funny questions that because I know you have been teaching communication for a really long time, right? What are some of the weird situations that people have gone through during in communications? The things that I've asked you before.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To me personally,
Yeah.
yeah.
During a class, maybe.
Okay. Are you talking about people asking me questions?
Not you as in the normal time, but
But
during
in the
class, they share with you some of the experience of
yeah.
what they have encountered, and you have seen, oh, this is so unique. I've never heard of this one before.
Okay. What I've heard is, last year I conducted a program
Yeah.
for this group, for this company. It's a huge
Yeah.
company, and
Right.
they have staff whose ages range from 25 right up to 50,
Right.
55.
Right.
So you have like two generations or two or three generations there. And
Okay.
what they tell me is, because I was doing a program on business communication. So what they tell
Mm-hmm.
me, what they notice is the younger generation,
Right.
Gen Y,
Right.
they don't prefer to communicate face to face. I
Uh-huh.
was quite
Interesting.
surprised when I heard that. They say the younger generation, they would
Yeah.
prefer to just send text messages or email messages, even instructions
Mm.
via email.
Right.
And when you are asked to come for a discussion, for a face to face meeting, you can see them fidgeting, and after a while, they get very restless, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
start doodling. So, this is something that the older generation staff they brought up to me. They say, like,
Mm.
these people, they are very impatient. They
Right.
don't have, the patience to sit and listen and, have a proper conversation with you.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So what some of them have told me is, this is a bit strange.
Mm.
They said like there was this gentleman. He was like in his 40s, and his superior was someone in her early 30s.
Right.
He told me that whenever there is an instruction to be given, even though they are in the same office, she would rather send an email rather than talking to him face to face.
Mm. Interesting.
So yeah,
Interesting.
and I said, is there any particular reason for that? I said maybe perhaps it could be because she wants it on record. She wants it
Right.
in evidence. He said, yeah, but
Okay.
I'm there, and I passed by her door many times, but he doesn't. She doesn't even call me once and say, can I talk
Right.
to you first? And some of the things he doesn't quite understand. So when he tries to ask for a meeting or to call, she will always say, can you just put it in writing? Can you just email me?
Hmm. Interesting.
So that is something a little peculiar there, because I think it's easier when you can speak to the person face to face, since
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
in the office, and clarify that, and
Right.
be clear about what's happening. But
Right.
she would rather everything is done via email.
Right.
And she seldom has meetings, face to face meetings with her staff. It's everything is emails.
Hmm.
So, I was quite surprised when I heard that, because I thought it's easier when you communicate with people face to face. You can see
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
actions, you can see whether they understand or not. All right, we can take questions immediately.
Right.
In emails, it takes time, and you need to think to compose your message. You need to
Yeah.
think about the right words so that you don't confuse people, you don't send the
True.
wrong information. So that was a peculiar question that was brought up by my participant. Yeah.
And would you know any, you know, any ways that she could have handled it?
I would think like, yeah, what normally we do is we have face-to-face meetings and then we go
Yeah.
back, we say, I'd like to recap our points of conversation today.
Mm,
For example, we
mm,
ask, kindly contact this person and, Andrew, can you do this? Anand, can you do this? Right? And
right,
Razali, please contact this person and so on. So you want
right.
to recap that like a minute, but you put it in an email form and send it out to all the participants. So I
Okay.
thought that would be better, and you have a record of what was agreed upon,
Right.
what one is supposed to do. So
Mm-hmm.
this is something quite peculiar for me, as I said, strange, because this person doesn't like to have any face-to-face meetings when
Mm,
there are issues he wants to bring up. He
right,
has issues with his stakeholders, his
right,
customers, so he wants to bring up. But she always asks him to write everything in an email.
right. Interesting. I think it's
Yeah, and he's always in the field. He's always going around meeting customers. So he
right,
says, I find it very difficult because when I come back to the office, it's so much easier for me to just go through everything and
right,
just understand and we move on. But for her, it has to be everything in email. So he spends quite a bit of time to compose everything because he's now a little bit, what do you say, a bit cautious when he has to speak to her because
mm,
he feels a bit uncomfortable with this kind of communication.
right.
So he's
Everything
asking,
in,
is this norm? Is this a norm when you're dealing with Gen Y bosses? So I said,
mm,
um, it shouldn't be because these are things, if you are in different buildings, different districts or different states, it's fine. But if you are in the same building, in your say on the same floor,
right,
and in the same office, I don't see any reason why we can't have a face-to-face communication.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's quite peculiar actually.
Yes.
But I've also heard about um, this kind of situations,
Yeah.
and people who rather handle things through email
Yeah.
or WhatsApp communication
Yeah.
rather than call or a face to face lah.
Yeah.
But I also see this quite more common in the I don't know whether I'm
Mm.
just generalizing it, but I have also seen a lot of young people who are so game on to talk face to face
Mm.
on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, and another question I got is, I mean, another incident I got is there are many instances where when a boss gives or delegates a task,
Yeah.
the staff will not ask any questions. I
Interesting.
will normally ask them, like, why don't you ask questions? Did you understand the instructions? They said, not really. I'm not really clear what he wants. So I said, why don't you
Right.
ask questions? One,
Right.
because he seems to be in a hurry.
Right.
Or two, I don't want to look stupid.
Mm.
Yeah. Or three is I'm scared of my boss. All right. I'm scared of my boss. I'm scared to ask questions.
Okay.
So what happens after that is when you don't clarify, you go and do
Right.
something, a task,
Right.
and when you submit it by the deadline given, and your boss has a look at it and says like has a look at it and say like, this is not what I want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do? So you have to redo the whole thing, and I would say like, oh my God, boss, but I thought you said. So this is the problem.
Mm.
We assume something else. We don't
Right. Right.
clarify on the spot. We assume something.
Right.
So in the end, they have to redo the thing. The deadline is very close. Sometimes you have submitted your work on the deadline,
Mm-hmm.
so you have very little time, and then you have to stay back. You have to do the work. You're all stressed, and then the next day you complain of migraine or you complain of blood pressure. All right.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, we can avoid all this if only we can ask questions. Right.
So again, goes back to
Your
that.
boss will not get upset. You just need
Yeah.
to ask questions. You just say, boss, can you just advise me who should I contact? Or is this the right format that I should use? Are you okay with
Mm.
this? Ask a few
Mm.
questions. But these people, they don't want to ask questions. So
Mm.
we see a series of problems due to that.
Right, right. So again, the 5 tips you gave earlier, it
Mhm.
could help to us, right, to clarify things with the boss, right?
Yes. So it's,
Okay.
yeah.
So we are coming to the end now. Would you be able to just give us quick summary of the 5 tips again before we
Yeah.
leave?
The first step would be to ask close-ended questions, yes, no
Okay.
questions, or one-word questions.
Right.
This is basically to get confirmation from someone, right? Mainly to
Mm-hmm.
get confirmation from someone, or you just want a
Right.
simple answer from them. The
Okay.
second one is to have an open-ended question where you want to
Right.
learn more about the person's feelings and emotions. The
Okay.
next one would be asking follow-up questions. You
Mm-hmm.
are more interested in what the person has to say, so you ask questions, all right?
Right.
It's also a very good way of building rapport. The next
Right.
one is pay attention, listen carefully, give 100% attention to the person when he's talking to you.
Right.
That shows respect, that shows your interest in the topic and in the person who's talking to you. And the last one, a last tip is look at the body language, look at the eye contact, the facial expression, the gestures, and so on, and gauge the person's interest level,
Mm.
and you'll be able to communicate better. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. So there you go. 5 tips of communicating more effectively. And by Sumathi Krishnan, 17 years in the communication, 17 years in communication training. All right. Thank you very much, Sumathi, for being with us. Thank you very
Oh,
much. I think we enjoyed the
thank you.
conversation. Very good quest. Very good. Very good questions by the audience. Look forward to talk to you again.
Thank you, Yasa. Thank you so much for the chance. See you.
See you then. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Sahil.